Hello, my name is S.K. Williams, and today I would like to talk to you about censorship. As I am recording this, was told that I cannot post in the YouTube comment sections for 21 hours because I am in violation of the community guidelines. Part of the reason I'm making this video is simply to see if I can indeed upload videos or not. However, most of the posts I made were interactions with the sort of atheist who ridicules me for random capitals and my bad grammar because of bad spelling, and who go about calling me delusional and how my cognitive biases prevent me from seeing the truth, and how, unlike atheists, I refuse to look at anything outside of my belief system, and how raising children in religion is child abuse, and how religion is evil and Christians murdered millions while atheists never have, and how atheists are so much better than Christians or religious people and theists, and how awful religion is. It strikes me as odd that atheists who can invade Christian channels constantly spewing hate, coming from atheist channels that do nothing but spew hate, are unaffected by this. Atheists can say whatever they want. Atheists can be as cruel and hateful and demeaning to Christians, or theists, or religious people, as they always call Christians, so that they can play pretend that they are not critical only of Christianity. But a Christian can't stand up to this. The simple reality is, atheists have been calling Christians fascists, delusional, mentally ill, hateful. They say things like no hate, like Christian love. Atheists accuse clergy of being pedophiles, and they accuse churches of being child slaughter havens. And yet, the tube of you has decided to make me have to dance around, walking on eggshells, and having to talk like a cartoon character when certain select words are used. The simple reality is, I did not engage in hate speech. I defended myself from the hate speech of atheists. Atheists who have nothing better to do than endlessly watch videos made by other atheists that do nothing but repeat old 19th and early 20th century rationalist press comments that have been kept alive through those dreary publications of the American Humanist Association, the National Secular Society, the Council for Secular Humanism, and other such institutions, until a certain man who I can't name, who enjoyed his private island with, shall we say, young women of a certain threshold below to which he should not, ought, and should not have, whose name is verboten, financed them. By the way, it is true that this island man financed the new atheism. He gave them money. He kept alive their organizations. He was one of the most major donors of it. But we can't talk about that. I can't even use his name without being banned. The simple truth is, even when it comes to the Catholic Church and the infamous pedophile scandal, the simple reality is the Catholic Church was never the world's largest child sex trafficking ring. Even in the mythology that they are presenting, they protected pedophile priests and moved them around so they can, in their words, hunt fresh game. That is not child sex trafficking. And it's also a gross exaggeration. The church never had a formal official policy of protecting that sort of thing. And I'm not saying the church was perfect in how it handled the situation, but very few clergy were actually pedophiles. And let's face reality. A lot of the people who have been accused of that crime were not actually guilty of it. And they were sentenced to prison anyway, simply because we drumbeat about how they like the altar boys and make all those jokes for years, and we know how bad they are and stoked hate. That is what the atheist community does. It stokes hate. That is what the liberal media has been doing. They stoke hate. And because of that hate, people like George Pell went to prison, even though they were completely innocent, and people cheered. And when he was released because of the Australian Supreme Court releasing him, we were told they released a monster and he was still guilty. Jordan McRae, an American priest, was sent to prison, and he's been there for years, 27 or 28 years now, almost out, but served years for a crime he very clearly did not do, purely because he was a priest, and they knew all priests are guilty. Priests aren't even in a situation where we've reversed it from innocent until proven guilty. We are supposed to operate under that system in America and in Europe. We're supposed to presume innocence, but we don't when it comes to clergy. We do not assume they are innocent until proven guilty. We don't even assume they are guilty until proven innocent. We don't give them a chance to prove their innocence. We simply find them guilty and register them as SIOX offenders, or if they refuse to sign a confession, we lock them away. And I'm not saying no clergy ever did that, although the kindly, logical, and friendly atheists will say I am saying it makes it okay, and denying any atheist does it. I mean, any priest does it. I'm not. But let's face reality. Clerical, relational, of the physical kind, abuse, was always rare. It was never some epidemic of it. It only appeared that way because they drumbeat several cases, often decades old, and acted as if they happened all together. In reality, even though the friendly, kind, logical, and rational skeptics of the skeptic community say otherwise, and they will even say that it's not just the Catholic Church, Protestant churches are like that too, and all of the churches are havens for child love organizations, shall we say. The simple truth is, clergy make up a very small percentage. Much smaller is the percent of clergy who engage in that behavior than any other profession. Much smaller percent of Catholic clergy engage in that sort of behavior. Indeed, the atheist activists who have no religion, because I'm not allowed to say they have a religion, have a higher percentage rate. And note, I say higher percentage rate. Not just higher number of people, higher percentage rate of those who were surprise sex practitioners, including surprise sex practitioners on people below a certain age threshold. And yet we don't talk about that. And we hear for years and 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 years about pedo priests and how it's not just the Catholics, it's the Protestants too. We hear about the pedo clergy. And none of that's hate speech. It's not hate speech to talk about Christian organizations as criminals because they break the law by getting involved in politics without any discussion about what the Johnson Amendment actually is, or the fact that atheist organizations do the same thing. In fact, atheist organizations aren't religious, so it's okay. Tee-hee! By the way, the Johnson Amendment said 501c can't get involved in politics. It's not really true that it says religious groups can't, and there is no law in America that says religious groups can't. You would only have to be a 501c, and not all religious groups are 501c. Neither does your tax exemption rely on you being a 501c. However, all of the atheist organizations that one knows about today are 501c if they're American, and yet they preach on politics and tell you who to vote for, along with other things. So they're breaking the same law, they just don't tell you that. And I'm not allowed to, because it's hate speech. It's hate speech to call people sociopaths if they've endlessly called you delusional. It's hate speech to call them bigots and bullies when they do nothing but spend their time constantly hating Christians over and over and over again. Go to any atheist channel, though, and that's all they ever do. They only ever bash Christians. That is only thing they do. They only bash Christians. The proper definition of atheism in the modern world is not a lack of belief in a God. It's not even a belief there is no God. An atheist is an irrational bigot who holds an irrational, bigoted hatred for Christians. That is what atheism is. And yet they can say whatever they want. They can call you delusional. They can say you have a mental illness. They can say faith is a faith virus. They can accuse you of being a paedophile and of child abuse and say raising children in religion is child abuse. They can tell you about how the dread theocracy is coming and how women will be stripped of their rights and how you hate the gays. And they can say no, hate like Christian love. And they can depict Christians as monsters and talk about God is stupid and evil and idiotic and how God's perfect plan includes mosquitoes and all that. They can depict Christians as stupid for believing in Bronze Age fairy tales and how they're indoctrinated and how Christians are hateful and destructive. But you can't criticize them. It has been said that you know who your masters are when you know who you are not allowed to criticize. And we know we're not allowed to criticize atheists. We know we're not allowed to criticize certain factors of the left. We know we're not allowed to criticize Davos and the people who met there, or certain people whom I can't even name. I didn't commit hate speech. I defended myself from the hate speech of atheists. And I don't care that the two of you has deigned to allow it, or that Al Gore and his rhythm will never strike them as I have. I did not commit hate speech. The atheist community has. The self-declared skeptic community has. And so has the modern-day American secularist left. And I am simply tired of dealing with it. I haven't much else to say, so I shall take my leave of you. Thank you, God bless, and goodbye.